We're going to crank it up for it. Pandemonium, Eye of the Storm on Pure Rock 104.78. Pandemonium. You're up for Fairbanks for 104.7 The Edge. Pandemonium, Eye of the Storm.
Hello, I'm Chris. I'm the lead singer.
David, guitar player. We are brothers. And well, also the band was our younger brother Eric on bass too. And as you mentioned earlier, the rotating drummers.
Yeah, back in the day too, we all did the perms.
None of us had perms actually.
Eric had the curlies.
Eric had some pretty curly. He had a fro going on.
He the youngest?
Yeah, he's the youngest.
He was the skinniest.
Yeah.
Okay, yes. You were in Fairbanks. From Demon, what happened then?
Well, we had done a few recordings, wanted to try and then like demos and stuff. And then we decided, well, what do you think? And then the three brothers, we packed up all of our Marshalls and our
loaded the Marshalls into an old white Econoline van and moved to L.A. where we'd never been before.
Head on down the highway.
Instant culture shock. Oh, my God.
Three brothers driving down the highway in an old Econoline van and a muscle car.
If you'll remember, Chris, one of our the first week we're in L.A., we go to Sunset Strip and check it out, and we actually met Tommy Lee, the drummer from Motley Crue. He was working at a liquor store there, and we actually bought booze from him.
Was he inked then by any chance? Or is he...
No, he was still a virgin.
He was in a band called London then with Nikki Sixx, who we actually ended up playing with.
There's a big resurgence of the metal scene from that era, and I would hate to call, but it's been coined as the glam era, and that was basically the downfall. We both agree on that it's, that's kind of when it kind of got weird. You guys jammed with a lot of big freaking names. You were at the forefront of stuff. Metal Blade, and give us information on some of the stuff you guys did.
Well, Metal Blade is still around. They just had their 25th anniversary, so they're one of the biggest independent metal labels around. And we were actually the third or fourth band signed to them. We met the owner of the label. He used to work in a record store, and he was starting his label up, and he wanted to put out a sampler of L.A. metal bands. This is in about 81. And we gave him our demo. We ended up being on the very first Metal Blade Records album, Metal Massacre 1. And some of the other bands that were on that album were Metallica. That was the very first record they were ever on, and Rat, but right before Rat got signed. And we actually played, when we started out in the LA clubs, it was just starting to all blow up. And we actually played tons of shows with Rat. First they were called Mickey Rat, Mickey Mouse, Mickey Rat. Metallica actually played a couple of shows with us. They actually opened for us. Wasp, Great White, all the LA bands from the 80s. We played with all of them. Places like the Troubadour, the Whiskey, the Roxy.
The whole Metal Massacre album and movement, bands would actually, they actively sought the whole Metal Massacre scene. So that actually was the start of the big metal rush in L.A. It really brought it all up.
Right when that album came out, we did a big show at, was it the Whiskey? Or the there's Troubadour. Thanksgiving Eve, 1982. And Metallica was the opening band. We were second on the bill, and Malice, who went on to put a couple albums out on Atlantic, was the headliner. And we actually outdrew. Metallica had 17 people there. We had 170-something, and Malice had like 34. So we totally outdrew them.
What was Metallica? It was like their
they were
second
kids.
show or something.
They were just starting out.
They were so nervous. They're like, how do you guys do it?
Great band and everything, but when they started out back then, they really weren't too good. But hey, the proof is in the pudding.
Right.
Well, it's weird, see, because we got kind of, being up here back in the day without, now we have the internet, there's worldwide global communication. Back then, we didn't even get the scene that you guys were seeing down there till about 2 or 3 years later, when it was all through tape trading. Basically, that's the only, because there was
big
no
underground scene
technology.
Yeah,
and record labels were, it was still like underground as far as anything Alaska was concerned. So you guys got to see a lot of things that we didn't even hear about till years later.
Well, you mentioned the glam thing. Actually, the first few years of LA, the metal scene was much heavier. Like, our favorite band was Sabbath, and we tried to really stick to that early Rush, early Sabbath sound and stuff. What changed everything is when Poison hit town. And actually, Poison's second show in L.A., they just moved from Pennsylvania, was opening for us at the Troubadour. And they come on with the big hair and the makeup, and we're just like, oh, boy, this could be trouble. And within, like, 6 months, every band was the makeup and the big hair. For some reason in the 80s, teenage girls really loved guys that looked like girls.
Yeah.
I have never been able to figure that out, but everybody got sucked into the trap of it because it was working for Poison. So everybody followed that. But before Poison hit town, it was much more a kind of a denim and leather thing, and more of a street thing and heavier. And Poison came in and just kind of
And that's where the money went.
to this day, I still don't like them.
Bon freaking Jovi was a leather-clad, act. Then they found out where the money was, and that was in the.
Hey,
chicks,
we even went down that road for a little bit, ourselves. You're broke.
It's okay, because the big word is sell out. It's not about selling. You get in the business industry first. You have a passion, but then if you carry on, you get it because you want to make freaking money. It's your job. You've left everything else behind. You don't want to be 62 years old with Yeah, I stayed true.
And all the record labels too. You're constantly doing demos, trying to get better deals, and they're all pushing everybody to go in that direction. So you get a lot of pressure.
It was interesting though. We followed that look with the makeup and the big hair, but and we had a lot of girl fans and stuff. But then we'd hit the stage and we'd be playing with other bands like Poison and Warrant stuff, and we'd hit the stage and our sound was still very heavy and very Sabbath influence. So we'd have this like glam look, but the music was still really heavy.
Wall of Marshalls.
And the girls up front would kind of go, "Wow, this is really heavy." But it worked for us.
Well, this next track, "Cold Night." What's the background on this? What kind of sound would you say? What era of Pandemonium would be this from?
This is off our third album, The Kill, which came out in '88. I'd say it's our heaviest album, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I'd say it's the heaviest.
Yeah, it was actually our best and heaviest album.
This was our backlash against the whole lightning of the sound, the glammy stuff. We said, okay, we're going to go this direction.
Yeah, back to our Sabbath roots.
Went back to our roots and just kicked it out really hard.
From the power ballads and got real.
This is kind of a sci-fi song too. It's basically about finding an alien survivor of a crashed spaceship. Yeah, we were kind of into the sci-fi.
Influenced by our cold nights up here in Fairbanks growing up.
Yeah, a song called Cold Nights.
Too,
yeah, I know.